Moving on now to look at our topic of discussion for today, issues around regional integration, of course, is a very important boost for energy security by allowing countries to share resources, diversify supply, trade power across borders, and achieve economic of scale, making energy more reliable, affordable, cleaner through joint infrastructure policy as seen with major African countries as well. It shifts focus from costly individual national effort to collaborative regional strategies, leveraging complementary resources like hydro or gas for better access, cost savings, and renewable integration, overcoming national limitations. This is very key for regional economic development and, of course, growth. Let's delve into this and some other very important issues. I'm being joined in the studio by Engineer Michael Oluwagbemi. He's a public sector analyst. He was the pioneer program director of Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative. Glad to have you on Business Daily.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. We have a very robust topic to talk about this morning. Yes. But before then, you were in Cotonou over the weekend. Yes. When the coup happened. You are lucky you were in trap, just like Jonathan was trapped in Guinea-Bissau. You were able to make it down here. Of course, President Tinubu intervention was very, very key in that regard as well. Based on what you saw on ground, do you think there was any justification for the military guys to engage in mutiny like they did over the weekend in Benin Republic?
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning and to actually be in a good mood. Absolutely. After all of the snafu that happened in our neighboring country, Benin Republic. Of course, to your viewers, I say bonjour, and I hope that we have a much pleasant week than this weekend. Absolutely. First and foremost, I have to say that military intervention is an anathema. It is archaic. It should be discouraged. It's uncivilized, unconstitutional, and for the economies of the country that experience it, it's always a backward, always, and I use the word always without any form of reservation. It is always a negative. So if you look at what Nigeria lost in 30, 40 years of military rule, we lost economic progress, we lost economic development. The problems that we're dealing with today, including issues of insecurity, took hold because of the military's natural inability to be able to resolve civil conflict. So what they will do is that they will stamp it out by force, use all kind of subterfuge, but the underlying issues will remain unresolved because they are not trained to intervene in such matters. Nation building can only be done by civilly democratically elected governments that have the mandate of the people that can intervene and ensure long-term prosperity, stability, and development. And so what happened in Benin Republic was a complete anathema, especially in view of the progress that country has made in the last 10 years. We were in Benin Republic on a trade mission in line with the regional integration ambition of Nigeria to make sure that we're able to regionally integrate. And Benin Republic and Nigeria signed a special pact in July during the West African Economic Summit, which I attended. I spoke at the President of Benin Republic, President Talon, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, our own president, spoke at that summit and ensured that a close framework for regional cooperation and the first full integration of two economies within the ECOWAS region was signed at the July summit that was hosted in Abuja. So our visit, even though it was a quasi-private,
more like a follow-up to that agreement.
Exactly. And so what we saw, you'll be surprised to know that from Ikeja, GRA, to Cotonou, the hotel where we stayed in Cotonou was exactly 2.5 hours. So I will get to Cotonou faster than I will get to Ibadan. I will get to Cotonou faster than I will get to Ekiti. All of which are within the southwest region. Absolutely. The road was smooth. The protocol at the border was within 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, we had our passport exchange and then we crossed the border, and it was seamless. And it's I've experienced cross-border transportation before. It was truly almost as if I was in Canada and US border in Toronto, or crossing the Great Bridge, or the same thing that when you go through Paris and Germany or any of the European countries. So the story of Nigeria's integration with Benin is one of the best stories that is yet untold. Nigerian government has been investing a lot on infrastructure. I remember when I was special advisor at FEMA, there was a lot of work, there was money spent on that road, and it's still being spent. the Badagry Road is completely being reconstructed, right from mile 12 all the way to Semi-Border. And because of that, the length of time, the duration to move from Lagos to Semi-Border has been cut down drastically. The border protocol was seamless. And even more pleasantly surprised is that in Benin Republic, the transformation that they've experienced in the last 10 years has just been, you'll be short of words. The entire country has been transformed. So I do not see any basis whatsoever for that military intervention by those ragtags boys. And I'm glad that I understand that a lot of them are under arrest. A few of them were killed actually yesterday. The Nigerian Armed Forces intervened, both by air and by ground. I believe our troops were dropped. The Air Force actually bombed some of them that were trying to escape. And I think this is the treatment we need to give to these guys. They need to know that whether it is in Benin Republic or in Guinea or in Ivory Coast, anywhere in West Africa, we will not tolerate, Nigeria will not tolerate any military intervention. And that what we want is that people should resolve their issues through the ballot box. If you think you are better off to govern as a military man, go and resign, remove your uniform, contest, ask people to vote for you, and if you win, then you win. But you cannot by any chance impose your rule on people that gave you, we pay you to have that gun. We trained you to have that gun, not to oppress us. And so you cannot by any means try to now use the gun that we gave you to kill us and to take power.
Indeed. Of course, like they say, the worst democracy is better than the best military government.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree with you totally. I understand you visited a couple of places like the ports in Benin, you visited some industrial parks and some other places. Tell us what you observe with regards to the economic transformation like the Benin has witnessed in the last 10 years, like you already mentioned.
Yes, first and foremost, I have to say what we saw there is also a roadmap, even though, of course, it's a much smaller country. Benin is 15 million people, almost comparable to the size of Oyo State, not even up to Lagos State itself. But it's a sizable, well-run country, right? So the model of their reforms in the last 10 years shows us what is ongoing and even is happening in Nigeria. The first 5 years, there was a lot of reforms around tax collection, reforms around security, reforms around port organization. The same kind of reforms that we're experiencing in Nigeria that today, of course, is difficult. And when I had the discussions with the special advisor to the president, Mr. Sinde, and he told me, he said, look, the first 5 years were very unpopular. Right, they have Benin Republic as a presidential democracy like us, and they have 2 5-year terms. Until recently, they just changed that now to 2 7-year terms. But even the current president is not extending his term. The finance minister is actually running in the next year election, and he will be the first beneficiary of the 7-year term. But he said, look, he said for the first 5 years, we're very unpopular because the reforms are difficult, right? People are saying, why am I paying more in taxes? Why am I having, but you need resource mobilization in order for you to implement infrastructure growth. And then when you now go into the country, the next 5 years, they now spent it on things that the money they've mobilized in the first 5 years, they now start spending on infrastructure. They spent it on revitalization of their ports. In Benin Port today, you can get your goods out within 1 hour. They have a single window, the same single window that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu just introduced that will be launched next year, had been introduced in Benin Republic for the last 6 years. They now have a single window customs settlement in their what they call special economic zones. They created a special economic zone law. We visited the GDIZ, which is in their Glo-Jijame park, which has cotton manufacturers, cosmetic manufacturers, cashew, because Benin, of course, is still primarily an agri country, right? And cotton is their biggest export. They're the biggest exporter of cotton in the world. Now they are making sure that they're just exporting raw cotton. They are ginning, they are spinning, they are turning into garment, towels. We visited this. We saw 25,000 young people being employed in GDIZ in this industry alone. We saw tiles because they also have a good deposit of granite and tiles that are manufactured of high quality that are being exported all across West Africa. And of course, there's a lot of opportunities for Nigeria here, because why is Nigeria going to China to import tiles when our neighbor Benin Republic is doing an excellent job at it, right? We are the market, they provide the tiles, and they also provide the opportunities for our businessmen to be able to make money better and faster. Why Benin Republic has a huge need for energy. Today they only have, their grid capacity is 300 megawatts. This is equal to the Ikeja, half of what Ikeja Disco is distributing, right? Nigeria has abundance of energy, be it gas and solar or even hydro that we can share with Benin Republic and sell to them. Because again, we are the huge market. We have to look at ourselves like, say, United States, right? And then you have Canada and you have Mexico that supplies the United States. It's not a not robbery, even though Donald Trump will make it look like that if he's talking. But the reality is that you are trading. And when you trade, you exchange what you have in excess. Nigeria has excess energy, whether we like it or not, even though we are not harnessing it the best way we can. But we can trade our energy, and in return, we can get finished product that is done next door, and also reduce the pressure on our own border. Believe you me, the largest diaspora of Benin Republic, Beninois in the world is in Nigeria. 3 million Beninois live in Nigeria. They are living in Nigeria because they can earn better living in Nigeria, right? So if we provide those jobs for them there because they are manufacturing for us much better, efficiently, faster than, say, China or India, then it's good for Nigeria because we will not be accommodating 3 million Beninois in our country. I have 2 chefs that are from Benin Republic, to be honest. And these are the people that actually sustain that economy by remitting money back home to Benin Republic. So they live here because there's no opportunities in their country. But what we can do is that by forging greater integration, by leveraging what they have, which is an efficient port. And also, we have a lot of ports, but a lot of our ports are also not as efficient as Cotonou.
Exactly, that's where I was going.
So we can leverage that on exports and all of those kinds of things.
That's where I was headed.
Yes.
Nigeria has an opportunity of having many ports in Calabar, in Port Harcourt, in Warri, and some other places. But for a very long time, we've relied only on Lagos.
Yes.
And a lot of pressure. This has put so much pressure on Lagos. Like you talked about the efficiency. How will you describe what you saw in Benin compared to what we have in Lagos? And of course, looking at we expanding our other ports so that the pressure on Lagos can reduce.
Yeah. So, you see, big country, big problems, right? So, it's not, you will not be proficient in everything. And that's the point of having a common market like ECOWAS. There's a reason why Switzerland, Macau exists for China, Switzerland exists for Europe, and Monaco exists for Europe. You know, United States as Delaware, the very small state that hosts all the headquarters of all the states in the United States, right? Because again, and of course, these are basically islands, or I call them islands of efficiency. Right? So for West Africa, ECOWAS, I think Benin Republic is an island of efficiency. And that's fine because they're smaller. They can deal with issues faster. And so they can respond faster to the needs of it. But the reality is this. It is not trade is not a lose-lose. It can be a win-win. We can learn from what Benin Republic is doing with their Cotonou port. And I implore Nigerian governors, our governors, Jigawa should go and look at what Benin Republic is doing with their cotton. Jigawa produces a lot of cotton. Right? Our Kano textile industry, our Kaduna textile industries, a lot of all these boys that are engaged in banditry today is because we have abandoned our agriculture industry that sustained us in the First Republic, what Benin Republic and Ghana has not done, because we found oil. But Jigawa, Kano, Kaduna does not have oil. And they didn't have any reason to abandon agriculture as a basis of industrialization. What they needed was what? Energy, cheaper energy. And yes, we are getting it through AKK gas pipeline. Yes, you can get it through the solar projects that you can build. As a state government, instead of spending all that money to come and live in Abuja, I see all the northern governors, hey, in Abuja, running around the place with their siren. Stay in your state. Develop your state. Instead of budgeting all these big sums for going for all these Hajj and all these things that I just saw this morning. Can't be budgeting 30 billion naira a year for Hajj. Why? Why does Kebbi State need? Kebbi State is a rich ground for the production of cotton. It's a rich ground for the production of many products, including hibiscus, which they use for zobo, which we can export to Mexico for rice. Right? So why are we? I think an island of efficiency like Benin Republic has a lot more to teach our states than even our national government, because I think the national government of Nigeria is taking on too much that it should not be taken on. There's a reason why governors are the members of the National Economic Council, not the president. The president is not a member. The vice president is the chairman. Because the constitution recognizes that our governors are the ones that drive economic growth at our state level. And that's the reason why, if you look at it, it rewards governors, but it's also ensuring that governors are the ones that earn personal income tax through income taxation only that goes to state government. Governors, states are the ones that earn VAT, which is tied to economic growth. And they are also the ones that earn property taxes, which is also tied to economic growth. So the constitution of Nigeria is well designed, bearing in mind that, look, if you as a governor do your work in an economic growth, you earn more VAT, you earn more income tax, that's personal income tax, and you earn better property tax because your property value will increase, just like Lagos. And at the end of the day, all this revenue will increase your ability to perform the role of a state government. So what we need to do is to look at that. Now, talking about our ports, Nigeria have different ports for different reasons. And I think a lot of times we What we have not done very well as a country is to try to specialize this port. It's not possible that you have ports for the same purpose all across board. Lagos port supplies not just, and people always misunderstand this, the Lagos port is not just supplying Lagos or Southwest or even Nigeria. The Lagos port is involved in a lot of transshipment. A lot of goods that come into Lagos port end up in Niger Republic, end up in Chad, end up in Burkina Faso, which is the reason why the president is constructing the Sokoto-Badagry Expressway, for example. So that when those goods leave the port, they go straight on this super highway and ships all across all the way to the north, to Sokoto, and from there it can get on the rail to Jibia, it can go to Niger Republic, it can go to, because that's all our neighbors to the north of us are landlocked. Right? Today, Benin Republic does not have that capacity. It has Cotonou Port. Cotonou Port is meant to more or less provide efficiency to Lagos Port. So what happens is that if you're coming back from Cotonou to Lagos, you see a lot of all those trucks. But they are not going to Niger. They are not going because they don't have the national highway network Nigeria has today that can move goods from Nigeria to Niger Republic, which then goes to Burkina Faso, goes to Mali, and of course goes to these other landlocked northern neighbors of ours. So we need to understand that is the role of Lagos Port. But what about what needs to go to Cameroon? Why is there on a port not being used for that? Why are we not thinking about what needs to go to Chad? Why is the on a port not being used for that? Why are we not
the Calabar port as
the
well?
Calabar port as well? So we have different ports for different purposes. Warri Port to serve our oil and gas industry and our inland waterways. If we do not develop our inland waterways from the coast of Warri all the way to Lokoja and further down all the way to Niger State and even to Kaduna River, then Warri Port will never work because Warri Port is meant to be a service point. Originally, if you look at the way the colonial masters used the Warri Port and the port that is near Brass, all of these ports were meant as an inland waterway feeding mechanism to the inner rivers. So you have the port in Warri, you have the one on Benin River, then you now have the one in the middle at Uji River in Imo, and then further down to Lokoja. From Lokoja, you now have Barrow Port. From Barrow Port, you now go to Kaduna. They are inland waterway ports. So you must develop your inland waterways. The Nigerian Navy must clear that inland waterways so that was the original super highway of Nigeria. But now what have we have? We have cataract. These were the rivers that Mungo Park and the Landa brothers used to explore Nigeria. They used to conquer the natives. And if they were able to do it 200 years ago, and today now, those rivers are empty. We are not using them to convey. We are using our road, hard built. God has given you free river. You are now using your road that you use concrete as asphalt to build, to convey these heavy goods, and they keep getting destroyed. That's why our road network is also crumbling. So we must understand the implication of developing national infrastructure side by side what we are doing with respect to economic zones. Nigeria is blessed. We all have different capacity. But if we develop our inland waterway with NIWA, we develop our rail network that is side by side our inland waterway. You know, our rail network runs from Warri all the way to Itakwe. And of course, we need to add it now to Abuja and then onwards connect to Kaduna to Kano. That will provide opportunities for transshipment to our neighboring landlocked neighbors. It will provide our interlands with opportunities because the lack of regional integration, cross-regional integration and ability to move around is also contributing to some of the human issues and insecurity that we're having across the country. Because if the North have access to energy and have access to good governance and have access to everything that we need, then you will employ people. And all these young boys that are going into banditry and kidnapping can be taken off the road and can be put to work.
But why is government not seeing this? The analysis is very perfect. Why is government not seeing the benefit of developing all these ports?
No, I think they are seeing it. What we are seeing is a because of course, how can I say they didn't see it? We invested, I believe President Buhari was the one that invested in the Barrow Port and the revamp of the Warri Port. I believe President Tinubu has awarded the contract for connecting the Warri Port to the Bonny Port with rail, and of course build a regional network that will connect the Warri rail all the way down to Abuja, right from Itakwe where it is today. So we see definitely there are movements in that direction. Again, the point I'm making is that we are currently dropping all the work for the federal government. The work of economic development
the state should get more
is
involved.
the work of states. And I saw the summit that was hosted by His Excellency Opuzodema in Imo State that Mr. Dangote went and was talking about the need for Nigerians to invest. Nigerian states must act like Benin Republic because they are smaller. The federal government of Nigeria is a huge country. We are going to be the 5th largest country in the world. The president cannot be getting involved in who pays their taxes at state level, who invest in an industrial park. That's not the work of the president of Nigeria. To the states. Yeah, no, it's already devolved. The constitution of Nigeria is more devolved. The 1999 constitution, as amended, is more devolved than the 1960 constitution. The 1960 constitution of Nigeria did not allow states to keep their IGR exclusively. Today they do. The 1999 constitution, by the way, as amended, allows any state governor to keep the agricultural produce or result, and that was the way we developed the First Republic. Has that power been taken away? No. In under the 1960 constitution, there were mining rights exclusively for federal government.
Some key items are still in the exclusive list.
Like the way it was in 1960. So you cannot tell me if 1960 to 1966 we experienced development under Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Ahmedu Bello at such a rapid pace, and they had more on the exclusive list. Their IGR had to be shared. They had to send 50% of their IGR to the then federal government. Today, all our states keep their IGR 100%. After they collect almost 66% of the national revenue every month, they then keep the IGR exclusively. They keep our 85% of VAT. Under the first constitution, they did not have all that benefit. They collected the IGR and they had to share with the federal government. The federal government now share the little pittance with them from mining. So they have no excuse. The Nigerian constitution today has already devolved electricity. It has already removed railway. What do you want? So everything we're discussing now is already on the concurrent list.
All right, we need to, pay more attention to what the governors are doing. There should be a bit more a searchlight to the governors across various states of the federation.
And most of the governors, by the way, are earning more revenue than Benin Republic.
I totally agree.
So we have no reason to be
totally agree. It's a state like Lagos is bigger than Benin Republic.
Of course.
The Benin Republic president once said Benin Republic is the 37th state of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
So that's how close we are. Yes. Let's talk about the issue of internal security. You have made mention in the course of our conversation how the lack of economic development has pushed our youth into banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery, and all kinds of things. What do you think government can do to manage the internal security and, of course, national security as well in a way that we can achieve proper economic development?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of analysts. I have to say first and foremost that I'm a public sector analyst, so I'm not a professional security analyst. But oftentimes, solutions to problems don't come from people that are actually in the war front. It comes from people that have the bird's eye view away from the action itself, and then they are able to analyze issues strategically. For one, I think the approach that we've taken in the last 15 years has been wrong when it comes to security issues. I think we've been treating the symptoms, and we are not treating the disease, the root cause. As an engineer, I will go to the root cause analysis, and there are three root causes of our security issues and security malaise. The first and obvious one is socioeconomic. Right? When people do not have jobs, when people do not have opportunities, they will turn to crime. When you have a state with 60-70% illiteracy like Zamfara, like Kebbi, like Borno, these same states have high rates of birth and young population. The young man has energy. He needs to use it. If it is not used and there's no presence of government, there's also a vacuum of government, then it will get into banditry, it will get into crime. So the first thing first is that we need to restore governance at the local level. And yes, the president has already begun that with the Supreme Court judgment, but it's not happening fast enough.
Talking about the local government
autonomy. Local government autonomy. We need to put governance back, and we need to put searchlights on our state governors. Our elites in every one of these states, whether it's Kebbi, Zamfara, and I give the example of Ekiti State. We have once had government. I'm from Ekiti State. We once had governance in Ekiti State that was not up to par. And we citizens of Ekiti State, the elites of Ekiti State, said we were going to get engaged. I got engaged in that process. That was the way I got engaged in the 2018, 2019 election process in my state. And then from there, we started tracking our governors. Even governors that used to travel out, they'll be using our state funds. We used to publish name and shame. And they stopped. Today now, you have an Ekiti governor in place that hardly comes to Abuja. And let me tell you, most of the banditry that has happened so far in Kwara State is happening. I'm from Ikole Ekiti, which is the border with Ekiti, local government of Kwara State. And all of the banditry states happen. In fact, we have some incidences in the last 2-3 weeks in my state, but our traditional rulers have formed the Security Council. They are working with the state Amotekun which was passed by law, which is like your state police. They are forest guards. So because of that, Ekiti State does not have the same incidents. So local governance have to be restored. That's number one. And that includes, of course, emphasis on education and health, because those are within the remit of state governors and local government. So superb. All of these are under state and local government. That's your primary schools. You must have good primary schools to educate the children of the poor. Chief Obafemi Awolowo once said, he said, the children of the poor, whom you fail to educate, will not let your children have peace. That is what we are saying. Exactly. Then the second thing, our borders. If you continue to treat the symptom, we see porosity. We're in the Sahel region. After the downfall of the Gaddafi, the inflow of arms. Now we have Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, all of these countries that have experienced coups, and Mali that is now under the siege of jihadists. Arms are flowing in the region. We cannot continue to treat the ones that are already inside and think that because you create 4 or 5 bandits today, 10 are entering the very next minute from Niger, Mali, Chad, and Burkina Faso. We must protect our borders. Today in Nigeria, we do not have a single agency of government that is responsible for border control. None. The immigration is there to enforce immigration laws. The customs is there to collect money. In fact, they're not under the Ministry of Interior or Defense. They are located in the Ministry of Finance. They are not there for border patrol. The Nigerian military is not in charge of border patrol. The Nigerian police is not in charge of it. They will now say we create all this joint patrol. What does that mean? It's high time as a country we create a border patrol entity whose exclusive work is to protect Nigeria more than 7,000 kilometer border, about 5,500 kilometer of land border, another 1,200 kilometer of coastal border. So if we create a national guard with a coast guard component that is militarized, that has the responsibility of, if necessary, as the former Chief of Defense Staff, my friend and now current Minister of Defense, and I congratulate him and I congratulate Mr. President for finding such a talent. He's a personal friend of mine, and I know his views on this matter. If we put that under the Ministry of Defense or Ministry of Interior and have that exclusive militarized National Guard to patrol our borders, to build fence, electronic and physical as the case may be, to ensure that all our coast is safe from piracy and incursions of Chinese trawlers and all of this invasion that is also happening on our coast, Nigeria will be a safer country. We have too many people coming into this country today that we cannot identify, because the border is porous. That is number 2. Then the third thing, the architecture of policing. People call it national security architecture. I say let's remove the old national. It's policing. We are putting too much burden on our Nigerian military. The Nigerian military is about 150,000, 170,000 active in country today. Can they protect 250 million people? We are deploying our troops inside the country, an anathema. They are meant to protect the country against external forces, not inside the country. We're exposing them to civil interactions, which they should not be. What we should focus on is strengthening our police. First and foremost, our police today is badly structured. We have a Nigerian police that we put our police in barracks. Who does that? There's only the British colonized countries, India, Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, Kenya, put police in barracks. That tells you a lot. If you go to even to the British themselves, they don't put their police in barracks. The Americans don't put their police in barracks. The police today's structure is not have no effective local control. You bring somebody from Benin Goari to come and protect Kwesu Market in Warri. The first thing the Ijaw criminal does is he jumps inside the water. And then you bring the Ijaw man, you take him to Benin Goari, he sees it, he cannot control anybody because he's not used to that environment. Send police to their local government of origin. And they don't even need your housing anymore because they can go and live in their father's house. And then they will protect the area. They will make sure that nobody goes into the forest to go and cause trouble. So unless we change the system of architecture of our policing, we'll devolve power back to the states and local governments in this area, and we make sure that our state police are properly paid, structured, and we have both the federal police, the state police, and the local police. There must be 3 layers. When you commit a crime, 3 people are pursuing you. Then you see that the security temperature of the country will come down.
Indeed, that is quite brilliant and elaborate, very, very elaborate contribution there. But let's look at the issue of, we're talking about regional integration earlier. Let's see how we can leverage on it in terms of, achieving energy security.
Yes.
We talk about the issue around areas that need collaboration, like the hydro, the gas supply, the cost of saving, of course, the renewable energy as well.
Absolutely.
How can we leverage the regional integration in this regard? We have a relationship with Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana,
Cameroon, all of them, yes.
All of them. So how can we leverage this, especially when in the area of cost costing?
Yeah, so Nigeria is blessed with gas. And I think the gas provides us, of course, I led the gas program in the country around compressed natural gas, but even beyond that, for power and all of that. What we need to do is to find a way how to get our gas to our neighbors faster and use it as a tool for not just regional integration, but projecting Nigeria's power to our neighbors. Today, Togo is, Benin Republic is built, as like I said, 300 megawatt capacity, but they are building an industrial park and require CNG. And like I said, from Ikeja, 2.5 hours. There's no reason why we can't truck our CNGs in the meantime while we figure out a pipeline to cross the border. We already have the West African gas pipeline, but we need more capacity in it in order to supply the energy. In July, while the president was here, he announced the fact that they were cancelling the agreement. They already went to go and enter an agreement with Qatar to import gas when you are next door to Nigeria. He said, no, it doesn't make sense. Let them buy their LNG from Nigeria. But instead of LNG, how don't we increase the capacity of West African gas pipeline? Why don't we bring all of these our neighbors together and say, guys, you get gas. Even the electricity that we're producing, we know we don't have a generation problem in Nigeria. We have excess energy being generated. If you take our highlands,
transmission is a problem.
Transmission and distribution. Now, the ones that are stuck in the border with Benin Republic and Nigeria, right from, if we have another one stuck in Calabar that we can move to Cameroon, the Calabar IPP there, it's spinning away, and we don't have enough use for it. Sell it to Cameroon. The one that we are generating from Kenji Dam, we can combine solar, we can put gas there. The Southwest Nigeria gas pipeline that is going all the way to Jeba needs to be built. And then when we are producing in that area, we have capacity to sell to Niger and to Benin Republic. From Lagos, we can put CNG across, and we can sell to Cotonou and Lomé, and truck CNG all the way, and they can build CNG plants, and they can build CNG regasification plants and LNG regasification plants, as the case may be. So I think our gas and the Ministry of Gas, led by the able Right Honorable Ekwe, should focus on this regional integration using gas as something that is very critical deliverable from that ministry if we really want to achieve long-term economic success for ECOWAS. We have to understand the economic success of our neighbors is also our economic success. Why is our border being pressured? We have poor neighbors who are landlocked.
Do you think we have political will to achieve this?
Yes.
That is a major concern.
Yes. I think if there's any president that understands the manifest destiny of Nigeria to not just lead ECOWAS, but to lead Africa, I think it's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In my own interaction with him, and I've listened to him, and I've also seen a lot of the things that he does, is very deliberate. The fact that Nigerian fighter jets were in the skies yesterday, ensuring that the coup was put out quickly and rapidly, was a show that he understands the way. Yes, he understands the way to use that power, and he's also, of course, he has ensured not to misuse the power when there was no consensus. The way he shied away from using it in Niger Republic, or in Mali, or in Burkina Faso, or also even in Guinea-Bissau. But when required, especially when he hits home like Benin Republic, he will not shy away from using the military power of Nigeria. And I think he understands that.
All right, as we begin to wrap up the conversation now, let's talk about the CNG now.
Yes.
It's an area that you pioneer as the program director.
Yes.
Talk to us about the progress made so far in that sector. Do you think it has been a success?
Yes, I think it has been a success in terms of adoption and introduction. What we now make of it, and I'm someone that of course, I'm private sector oriented. I believe that government should only do what private sector cannot do for themselves, right? But government has done what it needs to do in that sector. It has opened up the door. It has provided incentives. Investments are now flowing in. I think the private sector needs to step up and not expect government to spoon feed them. Dangote has shown, Boa has shown, Coca-Cola has shown through a Nigerian bottling company. All of the industrials have shown that there's a real potential there to use compressed natural gas to drive mobility and to drive down cost and increase efficiency and productivity. And I think the private sector now needs to fully step up. By the time in our first 2 years, we had attracted $1.1 billion of investment. I believe we're already on track to $2 billion today, according to the last data I saw. And I think that government continue to do targeted investment in the sector. That is what should happen. We should now see our state step up. We should see our private sector also step up. We should make sure that what we are doing in that sector does not create another monopoly or cartel that will then come back to bite Nigeria down the road in the next 10, 20 years. The most important thing is that we must invest, right? When I say we, I mean the private citizens, the investors, the private sector must invest in this sector. It is clear that you can derive 80% saving. It is clear that it is safe. It is clear that Nigeria has it in abundance. So what is there not to like? Invest, invest, invest. That's my message.
But some are saying that a new cabal is emerging in that sector as well, that may even be bigger than the one we're having in the oil and gas sector. Do you think that is possible?
It's possible if we don't pay attention. At the end of the day, I think the catalyzation of any sector comes from the regulators not doing their job and being hijacked. If you as a citizen or a group of public pressure organizations, CSOs, insist that NMDPRA does its job, that GACN does its job, to make sure that the sector is well regulated and no cabal emerge, then it will not emerge. In democracies, things don't just happen because you wish it happens. You must do the work. And so I think that the work of Nigerian citizens and the private sector investors that are interested in the sector is to do right by Nigerians and to make sure that they do the right things. And when Nigerian citizens see that the right things are not being done, make sure you write to your regulator. Make sure you pressure your regulator to do the right thing. In this particular instance, this is a new sector, less than 18 months old, that we pioneered. I think there's no reason why it should be catalyzed. The sector is open. There's, like I said, there's even opportunities beyond Nigerian borders. All of the major cities of Nigeria Republic are arrayed across Nigeria border. If you go and look at the map of Nigeria, all of them can also benefit from CNG. Limbe, across the border from Calabar, in Cameroon, can benefit from CNG. So you cannot complain and say, oh, as I told you, Cotonou, Benin Republic is developing so fast as one of the highest GDP growth rates in the whole of the subcontinent in the last 5 years. So you can sell your CNG there even if you produce it in Lagos. It's just 2.5, 3 hours away. So we have no reason, being the custodian of 1/3 of Africa's gas reserve, to now sit on your thumb and say, oh, there's no market, there's no opportunity. Please invest. And I think Alhaji Dangote has helped me in that message.
Yeah, I was talking about invest. There's still also the concern about the availability of the CNG as well. So many motorists have always complained that they have to queue for 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes to get this gas. What can be done in that regard? It does seem we're still moving at a very slow pace. Like you rightly said, it's a new sector, and of course it needs time. But how much can Nigeria? How much longer can Nigerians wait?
No, I think it's getting better. Last I checked, it's now 70 stations that are running across the country from 12 when we started out. And more will open in the next 6 to 12 months. I mean, once there's a demand, investors will respond, right? The internal mechanism of making CNG available is investor driven. Investors have to build the border stations, investors have to supply to the market, and they have to build the retail stations. It's not going to be government. Government has provided incentives for you to take the molecule, that is the natural gas molecule, and compress it. So that incentive is already in place. So investors are responding in real time to that. And I think that is important. I will just plead patience, and I will also plead joint effort. So it's not enough for you to be patient. If you're a private sector individual and in your own area, you see massive demand for CNG and nobody's meeting it, I'm sure with the entrepreneurship and capacity of Nigerians, we can mobilize funds to build one.
Or do you think the price is one of the reasons why we're having the investors are not coming in?
I don't think a price is fairly priced. It's something that investing, you get your money. Driven? Yeah, it has to be profit driven. If it's not profit driven, then it's not sustainable. It will be profit driven, but clearly to me is that it is sustainably priced. It's not as priced as petrol. It still remains almost at 60% discount to petrol. So I think that's actually the case for investment. And even at that level of pricing, you are still deriving profit. So it's good for Nigerians. A win-win-win. Win for the investor, win for the consumer, and win for Nigeria. So I don't think that's an issue at all. I think that there is time. Any engineering project takes time. You must first go acquire land. You must do your feasibility studies. You must do your feed. You must do your design. You must get regulatory approval. You must build. You must commission. You must then, so it is 18, 20 months. There's just some things that babies are born in 9 months. We can't tell the mother to give birth to that baby 3 months in. It's not going to make sense. Exactly. So engineering projects take a long time to gestate.
So Nigeria still needs to be patient.
Patience, yes.
At the end of the day, they'll get the best out of this.
Absolutely.
Most thank you so much, Engineer Michael Oluwagbemi, Public Sector Analyst, and of course the Pioneer Program Director of PCNGI. We appreciate your time and contributions on Business Daily.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for always having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
All right. With that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back here again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akugo.